Yeah, talk about weird PC issues. I have a really weird PC issue as well, where when I start up my gaming PC, it sometimes doesn't either see the USB mouse or the USB keyboard, and I have to like unplug them and replug them. But it's random which one it does, and sometimes it's also completely fine.
Of course.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's some kind of like USB power issue or something like that. It's just teetering on the edge of like not being able to run all of your USB devices or something.
Yeah, but if I replug it, then everything's fine and it works 100%. Very odd.
I have a similar issue because I have 2 Stream Decks currently plugged in, and the small one kind of has this thing because sometimes it's not powered at all. Right now it's powered, but it has that Elgato screensaver thingy on, and no button works. And when I replug it, it realizes, oh wait, I'm supposed to work normally, and loads my profile, and then it's fine.
Yeah. See, I at first it was just the mouse doing it, and I thought, oh, maybe it's because it's plugged into a USB hub, but it's a powered USB hub, so it shouldn't be like it's mains powered, so it's not that bad. But the keyboard isn't plugged into that, so I don't know.
Weird.
That's so bizarre.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got an issue that isn't like a PC issue, but I've got a software issue where in OBS I have one collection for all of my stream stuff, but I have a duplicate ghost copy of that doesn't exist in OBS, but is accessible through the Stream Deck and will randomly load itself in. And it has all of these like really outdated scenes that I just don't have anymore. And it was so bizarre.
Yeah,
and it's reset itself in the middle of stream before.
I was gonna say I was there when it happened last time, and it's so funky. Like, what the heck? How does that even happen?
I have no idea. It is like proper ghost in the machine sort of stuff. Like there is nothing in OBS, and I have like uninstalled and reinstalled OBS multiple times since. And it just exists in the backup because I don't want to start from scratch because that would be hours and hours and hours of work.
Yeah.
But it must exist somewhere in the background data that just isn't accessible through normal pathways, I suppose, but it is still there, and somehow Stream Deck is able to tap into the ethereal realm, and it's just super bizarre.
That is super bizarre. But you know what is not super bizarre? Or maybe it is. You decide. This week's episode of the Halcyon Frequency Podcast. Welcome. This is episode 76. We're recording this on the 29th of June. This is airing on the 2nd of July. Welcome to summer. That means almost more than half of the year is already over. And I'm FG. I'm currently hosting, or today hosting, I should say. And I'm here with Drongo and Kiri. Good morning. Kiri, how are you doing today?
Good morning. I'm all right. I'm a bit nervous and anxious because conventions are starting and going to be very busy this weekend. Also, sad Kiri noises because summer.
Yeah. But the further we get through summer, the closer Christmas is, right?
That is correct. But also our vacation. Don't forget about that.
Oh my God, yes.
That's coming first.
2 months. This is insane. I don't know how, when, why, what. It's bonkers. I can't wait. I'm so excited. How are you, Drongo?
I'm good. I'm making happy Drongo noises because winter, so yay for me.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. Of course.
Very good.
Of course, it's winter in Austria right now. No, I'm just kidding. No. Yeah, God.
I wanted to throw that out there just, to make sure that we're including the whole globe, not just speaking from a northern hemisphere perspective.
You're absolutely right, though. Yeah, you rightly should, or you should, rightly so. That's a good point. I mean, there are more of us than of you, but still, you should talk about it regardless.
Yes, definitely talk about it. I always want to hear about winter.
I just want to hear about like places that I haven't been to.
I mean, that too. Yes.
Because I love exploring places that I haven't been to, and if I can't get there, then having people talk about their experiences there is the next best thing. basically.
What places have you been to, FG?
So I've never been to the Southern Hemisphere, but
Okay.
I've been to 4 continents. So I've been to America, North America, obviously Europe, North Africa, and then Asia. I've traveled quite extensively, but I've never made it below the equator somehow. Yet, I should say.
Soon TM, hopefully.
Yeah, like
day.
I was
Where
maybe
do you want to go then on the Southern Hemisphere?
I want to go to Australia. I want to go to New Zealand. And South America would also be really cool, I think.
Yeah, South America is somewhere that I'd really love to go to.
Yeah. But I don't know. I've sorry Australia, but like most of the globe, I got pulled into New Zealand because of like Lord of the Rings and stuff. But it's also just like because it looks so similar, but also not to like the UK. I don't know. It's just New Zealand is just this weird place, and there's just really cool stuff there that's so different.
Yeah.
Still, like it's same but different. I don't know. It's hopefully, I don't know. Maybe next year. I don't know. That would be cool. Like maybe I'll treat myself for my like big birthday. Because I got big birthday next year. Don't know yet though. Maybe. Depends.
I mean, New Zealand is a beautiful country. It's definitely worth going to.
Yeah.
And it does have a climate that is not dissimilar from the UK. It is quite often, fairly cloudy and a little bit rainy.
Yeah.
I mean, depending on where you are, of course.
Yeah.
It is a fairly long island, I suppose. But yeah, it is a very beautiful country.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, yeah, hopefully I get to go someday. That would be great. But I don't know. I talked to Kiri about this already. I did my taxes yesterday, so I haven't done them yet because I still need to tally my expenses, but ouch. so maybe no vacation next year from me.
I'm in the midst of doing that exact thing at the moment myself.
Yeah. I've tallied the income. I've not tallied the expenses yet. And this year is one of those years where I have to pull out every single trick, like get the heating bill and the electricity bill and all of that involved. Which, to be fair, is not a trick. I mean, that's legit, right? Because I'm working from home, but still, yeah, that's definitely a thing that's coming up. But yeah, we have like less than 80 days maybe till our vacation, which is insane. Where's the time gone?
Wow. Yeah, this year's flying by.
It's crazy.
So for all of the listeners out there, where are you going on your vacation?
Good point.
So in 71 days, because I just checked, I've got a chapel, come on and just use it.
71?
71 days.
Last time I checked, it was like
That's nearly 2 months.
Yeah, no, it's very close. Shortly coming up. FG, her husband Lex, Mystery, my husband, and I were going to Japan together for 3 weeks. And we've got a whole journey booked of so we're going to start in Tokyo, and then we're going to go to all the places FG can tell you about, and then we're going to end up in Tokyo again. And go to Tokyo Game Show as well, because that just so happens to be when we're there.
Amazing.
It's going to be amazing,
So
yeah.
cool.
Yes, I can't wait. Yeah, we're going to Tokyo. We're hitting up Kyoto and Kyoto, Osaka, Kobe region. We're taking a detour to like this tiny onsen town in the middle to like chill, take like a weekend to just chill and just it's going to be awesome. Like I've been to Japan before, so we're going to go hit up some places that I have been to before, but I don't mind seeing again at all. And then we're doing like at the end we do a week in Tokyo where we'll just do all the Tokyo things and do like the shopping and all those things. And it's gonna be amazing. Can't wait. I'm so excited. Like the closer it gets, the more excited I am.
Yeah.
I'm like one of those weird people that I am, if it's not immediately happening to me, I don't really get excited for stuff. I usually get anxious more than I get excited.
Oh no.
And then it's not until I'm like usually when I'm at the airport is the moment where I'm like, oh, I'm actually a little bit excited now. And more specifically when I'm at the gate. Because until I'm at the gate and I know I'm not missing anything, I'm anxious.
Yes.
And then I'm like, okay, all right, everything's fine. I can let myself be excited now.
Yeah. Do you definitely describe my anxiety state as well? For sure. Like 100%. And like it's still so far away that the anxiety hasn't started yet. But yeah, as soon as I start traveling, so I leave the house, that's when my anxiety kind of like starts dissipating, but it'll ramp up like the week before. But the thing is, it helps that I'm not by myself. So
Sure.
yeah, that helps.
Absolutely.
Like just
I think for me, I get more anxious when I'm traveling with other people because it's no longer just me and my experience on the line, it's everybody else's.
Oh.
Oh,
I
no.
really like the backup.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
yeah. No, because for me that it helps to have other people there, because then you can brainstorm in case something goes wrong, and it's not just on you. Because
That's fair.
Yeah, I have had some harrowing. No, it's not really harrowing traveling expenses, but like I had this whole trip plan. Not trip. It was for an excavation to go to England for like 4 weeks, and it was all like planned because like I had to take a train to the airport, then take the plane, then take a bus, meet a random stranger at this bus station in the middle of nowhere in Devon, because this was another volunteer from the excavation that I didn't have the phone number of. So I had to be on that plane, on the bus to Devon to meet that person, because otherwise I would have not been able to contact anybody and tell them stuff is not happening. And then German trains being German trains. Obviously the train was delayed because there was apparently somebody like on the train tracks. So they had to stop. Then we pulled back into the station, and the time just kept ticking and ticking and ticking. And like it was like an hour later, and the train still hadn't moved. And then there were these random people that were also going to the airport in Düsseldorf that I needed to get to. And they were like, okay, now we're going to call our friend. You're going to pick us up. And then I just did the thing. Like normally I would never do this, but I went like, I need to go to the airport too. Can I please come with you in your car, random strangers? And they were like, yeah, of course. So I just ride in this car with these random strangers. And yeah, I made my plane. And I was only half an hour later to the airport than I would have been with taking the train. So in the end, it worked out.
Wow.
But it was so because I had to like, you know, if I had been like, if I would have been picked up at the airport in England, that would have been fine. But because I had to like then take also like a 5-hour train, a bus ride to Devon to this like random tiny town where this National Express bus was stopping to get picked up by somebody that I didn't have the phone number for. Yeah. I was like, I have to be on this plane.
Anxiety inducing.
Yeah, that was stressful. Holy, that was very stressful. But it was also a very good excavation. It was very good. I lived in a tent for 4 weeks. It was weird, but good experience. You know, yeah, it's really weird when you're in a tent for 4 weeks and then you go back into a house and you're like, oh yeah, normal walls don't move. Like
That
you
sounds
get
so strange.
yeah, but you get so used to it after being just in a tent all the time. But it was in the middle of summer, so it was like, you know, it wasn't like cold or anything. It was really good actually.
I also find the thing with like when you're in a tent for a really long time, you're always up early because as soon as the sun comes up, it immediately starts heating up.
Yeah.
And it usually takes like maybe like hour at the most from like sunrise to actually being like uncomfortably warm in there. So you're always like up shortly after dawn.
Yeah.
Just because otherwise it gets uncomfortable in there and you're just like, okay, we're going to get out of here and actually start our day.
Yeah,
I'm somebody who usually loves to sleep in, so it's a big change. Yeah,
no, but to be fair, we had obviously it was an excavation, so it wasn't a vacation. So we had 5 days of work. I had 2 days off, but we were right next to the ocean. So if you got up early, you could swim in the ocean before in the morning. So that was really nice. Yeah, it was really cool. It was really, really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
We used to go camping down at the coast all the time. Usually over the Easter weekend. Easter long weekend was very popular. We'd go down there, pack the surfboards, pack the tents, and it was camp right on the beach, and it was just it was amazing.
God, that sounds awesome. I like camping too. It's fun. Yeah, it's just really chill. It's like a good way to disconnect from things. for sure. Like not being like, 'cause so this was in like 2011. So I had internet and stuff at home, but nobody had smartphones yet. So I like disconnected from the internet for like 4 weeks. That was something else. Haven't done that since then.
Yeah, that's a strange thought.
Yep, definitely. But I think it is probably time that we talk about games and what we've been playing. So we're going to take a super duper short break and we'll be right back. And yeah, we'll talk about games. And welcome back to the 76th episode of the Halcyon Frequency Podcast. It's just me, still me. That's what I was going to say. FG, Kiri, and Drongo. And Drongo is going to tell us all about Total War Warhammer 3 and the new DLC that just came out.
Yeah, so they released a new DLC for it. I think it was about last month now, actually, but I'm a little bit behind the curve. But they released the Forge of the Chaos Dwarves DLC, and it introduces a new faction with a whole bunch of really in-depth new mechanics, some new units, some new legendary lords as well that you can play as. And so I jumped in for that for the first time. I've played a lot of Total War games, and I've played a lot of the Warhammer series of them specifically, and it was good. It's more of the same good stuff, and one of the things that I do really like about the way that they set out the DLCs and the new factions and the new legendary lords is that they always go above and beyond to introduce really, really unique and very characterful mechanics and the way they actually play that is very much different from any other faction. And I think that's something that a lot of people probably don't appreciate, how difficult it must be for them to properly balance. And, you know, admittedly, there's probably some players out there that are listening to this who are familiar going, oh, well, actually, you know, this is kind of broken or this is pretty OP. But in general, even being able to get them within a certain amount of parity and having them somewhat balanced while still having extremely different methods of economy and unit generation and different unit types and combat styles, and still managing to have a game that works well together is something that is honestly really, really impressive. And it is a pretty expensive DLC, I have to admit, but it was good. I did enjoy it. The new maps as well, the new battle maps, the new siege areas, the cities are really nicely done as usual. There was a couple of little blemishes that I did notice in the actual map generation, which is a little bit of out of character for the creative assembly team. Normally they are like really, really detailed oriented with their map generation, but there's a few little blips. But beyond that, that was the only kind of thing that I picked up on. It is just, yeah, if you like those games, it's probably worth picking up the DLC. If it's a bit too expensive at the moment, maybe pick it up on sale, would be my recommendation. But yeah, it's good.
On that note, yeah, good point. I mean, I don't know if it'll be on sale because it's a new DLC, right? But Steam Summer Sale starting today.
Yeah.
So
I had completely repressed that
protect
knowledge
your wallets.
because my wallet
rip everybody's wallets. Yeah. So, you know, might be a good time to pick up Total War Warhammer 3 because it is a really good game, at least if you don't have that yet. Or other things.
Absolutely.
You know?
Oh, sorry.
No. Okay, you good to go.
Oh, I was just going to say, it is, even without the DLCs, it's still absolutely worth picking up. Even if you just get the base game, it is really, really well worth playing. Yeah,
I would agree with that. It's not necessarily like the Warhammer, like the Total War games are not quite for me, but like the battle bit is not quite for me. Like the overworld stuff, I really enjoy, and like taking that and like having to like manage it all. But yeah, no, it's definitely a good one, especially if you like Warhammer, of course.
Cool.
All right.
Wow, sorry, my voice. I've got a question about the DLC. Do you just play the campaign that was already in the game, and you can now pick the dwarves, or is there something different about the whole campaign? I don't know.
So I actually didn't play the normal campaign, like the one that we did together.
Mm-hmm.
I did the Immortal Empires campaign, which is more freeform and less like time restricted and time gated, I suppose, in certain aspects of it. And so I'm not actually 100% sure. I think it is an option to play it within that format again, but they have made the Immortal Empires now available to everybody, even if you don't have any of the DLCs or the previous games, which wasn't the case in the past, I believe. So
that's great.
Yeah, it's you now have the option to kind of just take things at your own pace and build up your empire at your own pace, which is something that I personally really like. That's the playstyle that I really enjoy.
Yeah, sweet,
cool. That's awesome. Options, like adding like free options and variety, is always cool when devs do that.
Absolutely.
All right, talking about not variety now. Just kidding. I'm just poking fun at Kiri here. Tell us more. How's Diablo 4 going for you? Is it still fun? Are you still like, give me more, let me play, or is it slowly? Oh, it's still okay. Cool.
No,
nice.
I love it. To be fair, there's some content, endgame content, that is not the best, and they could definitely tweak that and make it more exciting. But I still love it, and I don't want to play anything else.
Nice.
Nothing. Even though there's other cool games, and I did play something else I'm going to talk about later. But basically what I've been doing is I just stream Diablo 4 unless somebody sponsored me to play something else. So it's like, if you want me to play something else, pay me for it, because I don't want to. But it's amazing. I love it. I've got my main character, the barbarian, on 63 now. Max is 100. I've got it,
Wow.
and that's the one that I stream. So with that one, at least I've seen endgame content. The world bosses are super cool. The story is great, because now I've played a bit of the story and it's still not done. Because I only play that with my second character that I play with Mystery off stream. And that's a 48 or 49 druid now. And there we're really taking the time to experience the game. I don't want to say as it was intended, because there's lots of people just skipping the campaign to get to the end faster. But it's Blizzard's cinematics. The story is incredible. And then there's lots of side quest chains that give you more lore about the world as well, about the background. And there's so many references to the old games, to Diablo 1, to Diablo 2. And it's just, it makes me so happy when I stumble across an area, an NPC, just a tidbit of information from what I remember from the old games. There's lots of, well, fan service, I guess, then. I suppose that'd be fan service.
Yeah, also just world building and lore building and that sort of stuff, right? Because kind of have to tie all the stories together in a way.
I think it's obviously they're coherent in that, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, I'm so glad that you're still enjoying it. I'm so jealous.
Yeah.
I want a game like that too, and it's just
I'm gonna enjoy that for such a long time, because the first season's about to start in, I don't know, 2-3 weeks ish, and I'm happy to start over with a new character. I'm just honestly, I love it. It's great.
Nice. That's awesome. I'm so jealous.
Yeah, I know.
No, but it's fine. It's fine. I'm so happy and excited for you that you get to like dive into a game like that.
It's been a long time for me since I was that excited about a game and really couldn't put it down again.
That's awesome.
I love that for you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have enjoyed, even though I'm not like a Diablo enjoyer myself, like firsthand at least, I have really enjoyed watching your Diablo streams and the enthusiasm that you have for it. It's been good.
Yeah, it shows. Like, I have so much more fun streaming this, and then it's
absolutely
people enjoy watching that too, because I'm enjoying myself. It's great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there is people can tell if the streamer isn't quite like, or if the streamer is not enjoying themselves, or rather if the streamer is really enjoying themselves, right? Like they can tell. It's yeah, and it just makes for really awesome content for sure. Okay, talking about games full of references, I'm not gonna. Well, there's not really too much of a story to spoil, but like earlier this week I played Kingdom 80s, which is the newest game in the Kingdom series, which is a side-scrolling 2D wave defense. Yeah, kind of game where you have to like balance your resources versus like pushing out on the map, getting to your objective versus defending your base from the enemy waves, I suppose. And they've put out several games, and they're all been more like fantasy inspired. So you're riding like a horse, and you have like your normal archers, and you've or like historically inspired. I don't know. You're like a king on a horse with a crown and stuff like that. But they released Kingdom 80s this week, which is set in the 1980s. So it's basically sort of Stranger Things meets Kingdom in a way, because you play like you are still the leader. You're not the king. You're just a leader, and your like commanders or whatever are other teens in your biker. It's not really a gang. Like you're not like mean or anything like that, but you're like teenagers riding around on bikes in the 80s, and you start off at like the first map is like summer camp. You start off there and you recruit kids to like fight, because you still fight the greed, which is the enemy, and you still get coins from like chopping down trees and doing things. But then like instead of like doing work, the kids do chores and they generate money for you like that. And it's just like chock full of like references to the 80s, and it has like this really nice synthwave soundtrack. And it's not like the longest Kingdom game, so I played it on normal. It took me about 9 hours to beat in total, I think, but that was obviously with streaming it, so taking breaks and stuff like that. But I played it also on normal. Like there's more difficulties, like higher difficulties than that. But I don't know, it was just a really good ride. Like it felt like playing or like experiencing one of those like sort of overcoming obstacle stories from the 80s. So like sort of Stranger Things, or maybe like the Goonies or anything like that. And it's just chock full of references. Like one map has like like the Jason mask and the machete and the coat. And you can like when you go to the mall level, there's like lots of posters, and it's like E.T. and Indiana Jones, obviously like not like written out as E.T., but you can like make it out in the pixel art. Or there's a junkyard section where there's Ecto 1, so the car from Ghostbusters. There's the A-Team van. You can get a toy car version later on as a mount of the DeLorean. And just things like that. And it's just, I don't know.
That's cool.
It's just really, in a way, it was really nostalgic as an 80s kid. For me, it was really nostalgic because it referenced all those movies and the shows that I saw when I was like, 5, 6, 7 years old. So it was really, really nice. I really enjoyed it. It was a really good playthrough. And obviously, like just like all the other Kingdom games, absolutely gorgeous pixel art.
Yeah,
as per usual.
That sounds very, very funny. And
it was
I
good.
will actually try that out next week.
Yeah, I recommend it. It's good. It does have, unfortunately, screen shake that you can't turn off when
Classic.
the big. It doesn't happen much. It's just when the big enemies smash your barricades, it screen shakes, and the camera sometimes, like when you it has on certain maps, it has like smooth camera adjusting where it then like slowly pans over to center on the character, but you can like somewhat correct it by just turning the bike around again. It's really odd, but it's not 100% simulation sickness accessible, unfortunately. But it's not so, it doesn't happen so often that I was like, oh my god, this sucks, or like I feel sick or anything like that. So hopefully it'll be fine for you as well.
The nostalgia was bigger than the issues with simulation sickness.
Yeah. Also, what I would definitely highly recommend for you though is to go to the main menu setting and zoom out as far as possible. because if you don't, there's some parallax scrolling going on, and of course at the bottom they have the river which reflects everything. So if you zoomed in, that's a bit much. I had to zoom out to max distance for that to not be an issue.
All right, I'll do that. Thank you.
But yeah, besides
Did you
that,
play with keyboard or controller?
I actually play it with mouse, with keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
You can play it with controller though. Definitely, you can do both. I just
Yeah,
started on keyboard.
Maybe one is better for simulation sickness friendliness. Not sure.
Probably controller, because as we've both like noticed,
It's smoother, right?
the smooth cam is not as big of an issue when you play with a controller than compared to keyboard and mouse. It's really odd. But I guess somebody actually in my chat, I don't know, was that you when we talked about it? I don't know. Somebody said like it makes sense because with a thumbstick you can.
Yeah, that was me.
That was you. Yeah, you can ramp up walking, right, and stopping.
Yeah.
So it feels a bit more natural rather than the keyboard where it's just like go or no go. So
exactly.
Yeah.
I just recently realized
gotcha.
that. I didn't know that before, really.
it's a good point though. Yeah.
I was playing one of the Steam demos, I think, and there I noticed that.
Yeah, it's a really good point though. Definitely. 100%. All right. I have heard some people talk about this, and I couldn't play it because for me on my machine it just crashes straight to desktop. Like I don't know. It must be something with the AMD drivers and something that must have gone wrong when it installed into my registry, and I can't be bothered to fix it. So a little bit of a fair warning there for me. The game just crashes straight to desktop. What did you think, Drongo, about Station to Station?
I thought it was really fun. The overall aesthetic of it and the art style that they've used, which is almost like a oh my god,
It's
voxel,
isn't it?
voxel based, yeah.
voxel, yeah, voxel art style. They have absolutely nailed it. Like for what it's trying to be, they have executed it perfectly. The gameplay is satisfying without being like overly complex and like nitpicky. Like the Station to Station, to explain, is a train transport game that kind of is a bit of a puzzler because it has like a card mechanic and certain objectives that you need to try and complete. So you are working towards something in, specifically generated maps and scenarios. And you need to then build train tracks between different resources to build things up, and you need to, accrue income through doing that. And a lot of those sorts of games where there's a lot of different pieces to make the infrastructure, like infrastructure heavy games like Factorio are not something that are my jam because they are a little bit too kind of focused on just managing a supply chain, and I'm just like, it's too much for me. But this kind of is very much in the realm of like very casual, more puzzler aspect of that same sort of genre. And it's pretty simple, at least from the demo I played, which has 3 missions in it. But for what it is trying to be, they've absolutely nailed it, in my opinion. Like it is just really fun. The aesthetic is great. The music is lovely. It's just chef's kiss. Beautiful.
Awesome.
I agree with that, yeah. Because I also played it. Although, full disclosure, I was sponsored to check it out because otherwise I probably wouldn't have touched it, because train games and transportation routes, they always break my brain. But it's true, I just can't think that way. I don't know. But at least the first 3 levels were simple enough. So I enjoyed it a lot. The challenges Drongo talked about, they are optional, so you don't have to do them. And if you don't, then it's really easy. If you're going for the challenges, like the one, I don't remember now, but there's 2 per level. And one of them for the 3rd level was really, really difficult. I failed that.
Yeah, I think I failed that as well. Yeah.
So it does get challenging if you want it to be. I would assume there will be achievements for it, so I kind of will have to do those. But they're probably going to break my brain. But as Drongo said, it's gorgeous. The music is great. It's just fun to play, and I also experiment. Because then I ended up min-maxing the transportation routes, and I put a station like half off a mountain, And it works, though. It was really funny.
Mm-hmm.
Because the longer they are, the more expensive they are. So I thought, all right, I'm going to save money because there was a challenge for don't spend, I don't know, over, I'm just going to say number 500 coins. So I tried to shorten the routes by just putting the stations as far as away from the building that I could. And then sometimes that was like half off the mountain.
Nice.
Super funny.
Awesome.
Good game. Or good demo.
Yeah, I really hope that whatever's wrong with the demo, it doesn't translate to the main game for me. I don't know. I feel like I probably have to like. It feels almost like, you know, the issue that Jess had with the game that she played recently, where she had to like go into a registry and fix stuff. It almost feels like I'll have to do that. I don't know. Which is a bit sad, but hopefully, I don't know, maybe the actual full build will be different than the demo and I can actually play it or something. I don't know what went wrong there, because it just like it crashes, but it also doesn't crash. Like I get the pop-up from, like, I think Unity is the engine, and it says like the game is crashed, but I can still actually interact in the game and like fiddle around with the menu, and actually it only then crashes when I try to start a map. It's
Yeah, right.
Talking about haunted and ghosts in the machines, right? Like, yeah, very odd.
Yeah.
Very, very odd. I've never had that with a game before. So yeah, hopefully I get to experience it as well. Because I agree, like, voxel art is just, if you do it right, it's just so gorgeous. And Station to Station does definitely do it right. Yeah.
I've definitely seen games that have used voxel art and I've just been kind of indifferent about it. But this is one of those games where I think they've really, really nailed the aesthetic.
Yeah. Yeah, another one that has done really great with voxel based art is Cloudpunk, in my opinion. It looks really, really cool. And I can't wait for the heckin' live sim to take place in the same city that Cloudpunk plays in. Oh, can't wait for Navalis. But that's just me, just rambling. All right, Kiri. You gave in to your chat requesting it. And I'm actually really glad you did, because I want to hear more. Because this is a game that was announced, gosh, I want to say last, not E3, not this year, but like 2022, not E3, or maybe 2021, I don't know. And everybody was kind of like excited for it. But now that it's out, I didn't see many channels play it at all. So how is Aliens Dark Descent? Tell me more.
Yeah, I liked it a lot, actually. So it's in the Aliens universe. Apparently it plays after the third movie, I think my chat told me. And it's a real-time strategy game. But imagine XCOM, but real-time. Because you have this hub world, and there you do some research, you unlock some new weapons, you repair the ship, because you've got to repair a ship. And then you manage your team. So you pick a team for a mission, you can rename them as well, you can equip them, and then you head out on a mission. And it's really well done, because the game is hard. And there's actually a disclaimer after you pick a difficulty saying that this is really hard. So you could have told me that before, but it's all right. And you head out to a mission, and there you've got several objectives. And I was playing. So you first there's a prologue, which was very scary, by the way. Holy, it startled me so many times. After that, it gets better. Maybe because in the prologue you run around as one person, and then you have a squad, because it's then squad based. You control the squad at the same time, so you can't just say this person goes over here, that person goes over there. It's just squad goes here, does this. I forgot what I was going to say. Anyway, about the squad, it's really cool because you have a flashlight to just get a better look at things, and you point your mouse cursor as flashlight in one direction, and then the closest person to your mouse cursor will use the flashlight. And then you move the mouse cursor over your squad to the other side, basically, and the first person will turn off the flashlight, and the other person closest to the cursor will use it. And I found that so impressive. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, I get it. I get what you mean. Yeah, that's really cool. Like, that's, yeah. that it's like so not necessary that they did that, but it's cool.
Yeah,
Like-
it is really cool. It makes a very... I felt like I was in a movie because it's also rather long cutscenes, actually. And I felt like it's kind of an interactable movie. And what I was going to say is that the missions are really long. Because I was playing the prologue, finished, and then the first mission. I'm playing that first mission for 1.5 hours, and I'm still not done with it. And there are so many objectives that I've got to do. And then when aliens find you, you're being hunted for a certain time, and that progresses a timer, kind of. And then you move from difficulties up. So you start at easy, and then if you're being hunted for, I don't know, a long time or several times, suddenly becomes medium difficulty because the aliens know you're here somewhere, so they send out more aliens. And I realized that you can actually extract your squad back to the base and then come back a different time. So everything you've done in the mission is saved, everything you've acquired, the materials, the, I don't know, collectibles and stuff, people maybe that you've rescued, you bring them back to the ship, and then you'll have to pass a day because you can only do one mission a day, and then you can head out again and continue where you left off, and the difficulty will be reduced again to easy.
That's
and that
cool.
is such
I like
a
that.
neat idea.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, oh my gosh, this mission takes forever. I'm never going to be able to finish it. It's going to be on super hard, and I'll get swarmed, and I just die. But no, you could just do whatever you can, extract the squad, come back a later day, and make your way through the story. So there's several missions. I don't know how many. But after coming back from the first mission, I re-unlocked the second one. But I want to go back to the first one to just finish that. It's really well made. And I like it. You've got this... So you run around with your squad, and then when you want to use skills, you can either have it in the settings so that once you open that skill menu, it pauses the game completely, which is great for streaming it, being distracted. Or you can have it on slow-mo to make it even harder, so that the aliens will still very slowly run towards you. But yeah, it's fun. You've got different weapons, like a shotgun. You can use suppression fire, grenades, flares. And you unlock more as you progress and gather materials to then unlock that back of the ship.
Cool.
I really like it. I'm surprised not more people are playing it. But then I had trouble playing it because I wanted to play Diablo. But I do not regret this. Like, this was good.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, everybody was like super excited when it was announced, and then like I think it's because they just kind of, it was almost feels like a shadow drop. Like there was not much promo going on, I feel like, for this, and then it just came out, and like I know one big streamer who played it, and that's it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, don't know.
It's definitely worth checking out if you're into real-time strategy. But yeah, I think XCOM, more like Age of Empires for the real time. But yeah, good.
Yeah, it looks really cool, but now that you said that there's so many like cutscenes and stuff like that, I'm not sure if I want to play it because I don't get many nightmares, but the one thing that gives me nightmares is like alien horror.
Oh,
sorry.
Yeah, you don't want that. I don't know. Then it's not for you.
But it looks really cool. I don't know. Yeah, I was forced once upon a time to play Alien Isolation. I could not finish that game. I could not do it. Nope. That's cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I hope more people pick it up because I watched PTT play a little bit, Part-Time Trigger, on Saturday. I think it was Saturday, and it looks really, 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 really cool. So hopefully this is not a bust for them because it looks really well made and everything. It's just for some reason I don't know. It kind of fell through the cracks. I feel like
yeah.
Which
I
kind of
don't
sucks
know why
for a game that's well made.
Yeah, I think it is.
Well, more aliens in space. I finally finished Star Wars Jedi Survivor yesterday.
Yay!
Yeah. I streamed my entire playthrough, which is very unusual fare for my channel, kind of really, because I don't really play, or rather, I used to not play that many story games. I'm more known for like simulation management strategy. type stuff. But I've kind of like 2023 is like, I think the year that FG has fallen back in love with RPGs. And I've just been playing RPGs left, right, and center. So I played this on stream, even though it like wrecked my viewer numbers. But I was just like, I'm just enjoying myself. I'm going to play this, whatever. And I finally finished Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I played, well, when I say finished, I mean I played through the story. There was still so much to unlock and scan and learn. There's so much lore in that game and everything. It's been good, but so I really enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the world. I really like the characters. Playing both Fallen Order and Survivor kind of made me fall more in love with the world of Star Wars. But like Jedi Survivor needed at least half a year longer, if not more, in like bug fixing, testing, and QA. I streamed the game for, I think it was 32 hours. 33 hours is how long it took me to beat it on stream. 34.8 hours. So 35 hours. And I probably have had 30, maybe 40 crashes to desktop in that time.
What?
Yeah,
That is ridiculous.
Wow.
Yeah, it's bad. It's still bad. I did not have the frame rate issues that people had when the game first came out, where like after you got off the first planet, they had like 15 FPS or anything like that. It ran for me at 144 because that's what my monitor is set to because of the capture card. So it ran for me at 144. There were some areas where there were dips, but it wasn't like all that bad. But I've had so many crashes to desktop, like holy moly. So I was like, oh, there's a meditation circle, let's save, because it's starting to stutter. I can feel like there's like a hidden memory leak or something going on. I don't know. Because certain days it was fine. I played for like 5 hours straight and there was no crashes. And then 2 days ago I played for 1.5 hours and at the end it just kept crashing. So I like closed it and like ended the stream because it was time to end. But like it crashed like 3 times in a row or something. I don't know what they did. I don't know what they did. But yeah, it's a good game, like story wise, and like it feels good to play it because it's a game where they don't retcon you, so you don't suddenly lose all the abilities that you got in Fallen Order. Rather than like stripping them all from you and taking them away, they just expand upon it, and that feels really, really, really good. So, for example, you end Fallen Order with having like double jump unlocked. So in Jedi Survivor, you still have the double jump, but then you get a dash in the air that you can do as like a, third thing in the combo, which is really, really nice. So that feels really, really good. The world feels really, really good. The characters are great. The art is great. And just everything, because there's so much you can do. There's so many things to unlock and scan. You can hunt bounties. There are side quests that are like, they're called rumors. So you like talk to somebody in the world and they're like, yeah, this has been happening over there. Could you like go check it out and stuff like that? Like, I really, really like it. It's just like the game is like a 10 out of 10 for me, but then the technical aspect is like a 2 out of 10, which is so, oh God, it's such a pity. Yeah, they just did themselves not a service with this. I don't know why they felt the need to push it out when they did push it out. Maybe they were already aware like of all of the games that are coming out later this year, so they pushed it early rather than delay it by half a year. Maybe it has to do with the fact that they're apparently making a TV show, because it's supposed to be 3 games in a TV show or something like that, or at least like, there's supposed to be like something in the middle there. So maybe that had to be scheduled. I don't know why, but it's such a pity. It is such a pity that they felt the need to do that, because the game itself is great. And yeah, I really thoroughly enjoyed my time with it. Right now, my recommendation is don't buy Jedi Survivor. Get Fallen Order if you haven't yet. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Play through that because you can get that dirt cheap. The Steam sale started by the time you listen to this. You can probably get it dirt cheap for like 70-80% off. Wait on Jedi Survivor until that's at least 50% off, because yeah, they've still been patching it. Like there was just a patch like a couple of weeks ago, but as I said, like 30 to 40 crashes to desktop. It's frustrating, especially if you forget to save, because there's no quick save, right? So you have to go to a meditation circle to save, because you can play these games like Dark Souls if you play on the hardest difficulty. So where meditation circles are basically bonfires, and then if you rest to replenish your heals, all the enemies respawn and stuff like that. But you can also just activate the bonfire or use it real quick to save, so to speak. If you progress and then it crashes to desktop, you obviously lose all your progress that has happened since you last saved. So save yourself that frustration for now and wait. But yeah,
I think it's impressive that you actually finished it with those troubles.
Well, it's because I enjoyed.
Gotten frustrating.
Same, I would have just not finished.
I enjoyed the game though.
It does speak for the game and the story, definitely.
Yeah. And to be fair, what I did was like I just saved all the time. Whenever there was a meditation circle, I saved, so we didn't lose too much. But yeah, that was So it's unfortunate that they did this to themselves, and the rating on the Steam store page is definitely warranted. So yeah, get Fallen Order, wait on Survivor, and hope that they can fix it, and then buy it on sale in like, I don't know, a year or something. But last but not least, because we've been rambling for a while, hot damn, Drongo. I played this as well, but tell me about your experience with the demo for Lunar Abyss.
Yeah, so Lunar Abyss is a first-person bullet hell sort of like Doom style action game, and it's set in a really creepy sci-fi universe, and it is very characterful. Like, it's made by a smaller team, but they have really nailed the overall feel and aesthetic of the game. Like, it's very kind of like dingy, and it uses the environment and the level design uses space and lighting, at least in the demo, very, very effectively to give a sense of scale, and then give these like really claustrophobic sort of little environments. And the gunplay is, I wouldn't say it's anything like mind-blowing, but it is enjoyable, and it does have like a satisfactory there's definitely nothing about it that I would say is bad or anything like that. It's just, pretty good, pretty fun. And it was just it was a good time. I really liked the voice acting as well. The voice acting that I got to experience was quite nice and quite fun. And the overall universe and aesthetic that they've gone for is really like just unsettling. It's just, and they've done a really nice job of portraying it. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, same actually. Like, it's not something I would have normally picked up, but a community member, a friend of mine, approached me because they work on that team. They're their community manager, and they were like, "Hey, you want to play this?" And it's like, as you said, like the depth of the maps, together with like the almost like brutalist style architecture and the use of color and the absence of color, because the only colors really in the game are white, gray, a white and black, and then scales of gray, and then red. That's it.
Yes.
And the use of color and everything is just so nice. And then the one thing that's blue is when you get to healing points, because at its essence there is a lot of like 3D traversal and like moving through the maps, but then you get to these points in the game where it's like a basically a 3D bullet hell that you have to survive and kill the enemies. And then it's just the art is like, the art and the voice acting is what really, really impressed me, and actually left me wanting to play more. When I hit the end of the demo, I was like, you can't leave this here, this is rude, how dare you.
sounds good.
I felt the same at the end. I was like, okay, I am actually curious. And I do think that they did a really nice job in the actual demo itself, kind of giving a little taster of the universe, but still leaving me feeling like, okay, I have questions. Like, I don't understand how this works. And it feels like quite a unique story. Like, I don't know that for sure because we've only had a little taster, but it feels like something that's unique and something that I want to find out more about.
Yeah, because because it's not. It takes place on a moon. I'm pretty sure it's not actually the moon. I think we're somewhere in space above a different planet. But then there's also like a religious aspect that they bring in there. It's almost cult-like, and I don't know. Yes. It's definitely really intriguing. So yeah,
100%.
I'm glad I played that a lot. I played it as well. Yeah. All right, we have made it through the games. We did it. Now, we'll be right back after the short break, and we've got some news to talk about, so we'll do that. We'll just talk to you in a bit. And you've made it to the last segment of this podcast episode. There we go, episode 76, and it's time to talk about the news. And there's actually a lot. There's been a lot of stuff going on this week. So we had picked a few things here and there. And the first thing is that Among Us, the Among Us phenomenon continues to grow. And Among Us is apparently getting an animated series. It is in the works at CBS Studios. So it's CBS and Inasloth working together to develop the series. Inasloth obviously being the developers behind Among Us. And it's being actually animated by the studio called Titmouse, who also made Star Trek Lower Decks, for example, which I personally really, really, really enjoy. So I'm not really an Among Us player, but like that actually interests me or intrigues me a lot because I really like their animation style. Then yeah, they're working on it. They don't have an actual network or streaming service yet where it's going to be shown. It is also being currently worked on. Is not affected by the writer's strike because it's a different basically union. It's not WGA, it's the Animation Guild. So they're not on strike. WGA is on strike, so they're not being affected. And yeah, so we don't have a release date yet or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, honestly, as I said, I'm not an Among Us player, but you know what? Heckin' good on them. Like, hot damn though. they're like this tiny indie studios, and now they're blowing up and they're getting a freaking animated series, and it's like a super popular game, and they've like expanded massively, and like, you know what? Good on them. This is awesome for them. I'm happy. I don't know if I'll watch it. Depends. One because this could go in several different ways, right? Like maybe like one season covers just like because ultimately they could make it like a comedy, or they could make it like this serious, you know, there's a saboteur on a spaceship going like sort of like a horror-y type thing. They could also make it a horror comedy. So I don't know like which way they're going, but going by the fact that it's like the people who made Star Trek Lower Decks, or at least animated it, because they didn't write the story. So it depends on like where the writing goes, I think. If it's like dark horror comedy, I think then I might watch it actually, because I think that could be really, really good. But I don't know. It's good for them. I don't think.
Cool. Sorry.
No, I was literally gonna just ask you because I don't think either of you are also Among Us players, right? So
no, I never played. I think it's cool that another.
I've played quite a bit.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Oh, you did.
Today I learned.
Not on stream, but I have played quite a bit of it.
Streamer enjoying a game off stream? What's that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
wow.
In this economy, are you joking?
I was going to say, I think it's really cool that another video game is getting a show. I like that a lot. I'll probably put it on my watch list and never watch it though. Because recently a lot of video games got shows, especially on Netflix.
Yep, true.
And I want to watch
Yeah.
them all, and I put them all on my watch list, but I don't.
Yeah.
One day.
One day, yeah.
One day.
Yeah.
One day.
One day.
Yeah. Sure.
Maybe.
All right. That's good for them. Not so good is our next news, though, unfortunately.
Yeah. The Cycle Frontier is shutting down, which is kind of sad for the people who play it. I don't, but I know of it because a friend of mine likes it a lot, and it's actually his favorite game. I'm just opening the Steam page now because I actually don't know anything about the game. I think it's a shooter, right?
Yeah,
It is a first-person shooter. There we go.
Yeah, it's a free-to-play PvPvE extraction shooter. So it's basically, if you want to break it down, Space Tarkov.
Right. Thank you. It released only last year, so the 8th of June, 2022, so it's not that old. But the reason they're shutting down is because it's not viable anymore, financially viable. So that's sad. Servers are going to shut down on September 27th this year. But they're doing this in a way... So they just announced this yesterday, actually. And they're doing this in an okay way, I guess. So if you purchased anything after June 14th, you can get a refund. In-game shop items are now super, super cheap, like 95% off, at least, they say. There's a free Premium Fortuna Pass discount at level skips right now. So if you still want to play, you can. But yeah, if you purchase something already and now the game's shutting down, you can get a refund. But yeah, it's always sad when a game shuts down because that happens with online games, right? Eventually, they're just going to shut down, and that's it.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad if they also they shut down prematurely, because like a year is not a lot. Obviously, this game was planned to be around for much longer.
Yeah.
But
they did say that they had successful beta phases and a very successful launch, but interest just dwindled, and now it's not viable anymore.
Yeah. I think it's a really tough and really competitive landscape in those sorts of genres, especially if you're doing a free to play offering and there's not some way of consistently drawing players back on a very regular basis. Like, I think it can be really, really tough. Like, you're gonna be out for it for sure.
Yeah, because like this is me talking like as a person who's played both Tarkov and Cycle Frontier. Actually, I played in the beta a little bit. Didn't really play it after launch. I played just during the betas. Because obviously being free to play, the way the monetization worked was like cosmetics and stuff like that. So that can work in games where you can actually see those for longer. I don't know. It feels like in Cycle Frontier, there is a little bit close quarter combat, but not that much. At least for me personally, most of the combat that happened in Cycle Frontier was like mid or long range type stuff, because I don't know, like the buildings just weren't as extensive as in Tarkov, and they weren't as good as the loot spots as in Tarkov. Like everybody that watches Tarkov or plays Tarkov knows, like, you know, each map has their places, right? Dorms and like that sort of stuff. Like they have all of those places where you go, there's loot, but there's also other players and NPCs, and you know, you always know that going in there is risky, but it can be really rewarding if you're lucky. I never felt like Cycle Frontier had that for me, and most of the time in Cycle Frontier, the way people play it was just kind of try to avoid each other and like moving around each other rather than all heading to those specific spots and like getting into fights over them, because I don't know why. Maybe it was the quest progression where you had to go and do specific things, but they were always more like in areas rather than in Tarkov, where it's like, okay, you need to go to this bus or to this truck and use this key and unlock this box and get the stuff from it and then extract and stuff like that. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why the Psycho Frontier didn't draw people in or kept them playing. But yeah, it didn't do that for me either. So yeah, don't know. But I can't put my finger on why that happened.
I think it's very interesting, like the comparison, like because I've played quite a bit of Tarkov, and I think it is interesting, like the difference in the approach to monetization between the two games, because of course Tarkov is an upfront purchase game, and then they have their wipe cycle, and I think generally speaking, like most people that I know who play Tarkov frequently will pretty much go back and pick up Tarkov again at each wipe, so it keeps bringing people back in and keep enjoying it, but you still already monetize that audience, right? Like you've gotten the money from it, and it is also very popular. And yeah, I just wonder if there's just a lack of commitment and a lack of incentive for people to come back if they haven't actually purchased the game. And also, yeah, what you're talking about, obviously I haven't played Cycle, so I'm not familiar with how they've brought about their quests and stuff, but that is something that Tarkov I think does very well, is it creates these extremely memorable moments by the way it very cleverly brings together players into confrontations, and those confrontations inevitably breed excitement and enjoyment, and really, really memorable moments that will stick with you after the fact, by the way those missions and objectives are given to the player to keep them going back in and keep them on the treadmill, so to say.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, it's another Tarkov-like game that unfortunately didn't really take off or keep going, but yeah, hopefully the next project will pan out better, because they did say they were gonna work and focus on different things now, so at least this doesn't mean that their studio is shutting down and people are out of jobs or anything like that, so that's good. Yeah,
that is good news.
Yeah, not so good news question mark is the next article though, when you've got, well, for people that might have, for people that may have a NVIDIA GPU, tell us why.
Yeah, which is me.
Yeah,
and
me.
It's also for a
Not
game
me.
that I'm really looking forward to, which was Starfield. So they've just announced the other day that they have done a deal with AMD to have them exclusively supported for FSR, which is like their intelligence onboard resolution quality improver or something. I'm not super technical, so I've only learned what I had my chat explain to me what DLSS or deep learning super sampling it was the other day, so this is all fairly new to me, and admittedly I don't know if this will necessarily apply to me because I don't have a really high resolution monitor and I don't play like things in 4K and stuff, so it possibly won't affect me anyway. But it is, significant to a lot of people out there, and there is a bit of a rumbling out there. And what this exclusivity does is basically it locks out or discludes a bunch of the market who don't have AMD supported hardware. And whilst that hasn't been specifically clarified in this announcement, it is generally what has been the case in the past. So there is still a chance that they will come out later on and say, yeah, it's actually not exclusive, and we will have DLSS or NVIDIA's version of AMD's FSR stuff. It might not be the end of the world, but it's certainly not a positive move in a lot of people's books. And I think there's some people out there that if it is exclusive, that will be rightfully a bit disappointed, I would say.
Yeah, because like this kind of plays into the whole thing where everybody is like really excited for Starfield, but also like super cautious, and because people are like, okay, we're getting all these promises, but it's Bethesda, and like Bethesda's not been doing so hot, you know, Fallout 76 and all that sort of stuff. So, and obviously all the other super buggy launches and stuff like that. So, this is just another, like, I don't want to say nail in the coffin, but it's another one of those red flags that pops up where people are like, okay.
It's definitely not a popular choice. And
Yeah.
generally speaking, from what I understand, the DLSS or NVIDIA's offering for this same technology is considered to be vastly superior. So this seems to be an indictment on Bethesda in terms of maybe they're, you know, more motivated by the monetization that this deal brings rather than being consumer focused, which is, you know, obviously not going to make consumers happy.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It seems that way because why else would they do that?
Yeah. Well, that's the question, right?
It's
That's the
got to be
million-dollar
about
question.
the money.
Yeah, don't know.
Because I'd say
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
most gamers have an NVIDIA GPU.
Yeah. Still definitely. Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. If they want people to play their game, they should make sure the majority of players can actually play it on a higher resolution as well.
Hopefully, yeah. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. It just makes me more cautious, but
It's definitely a red flag, yeah.
yeah. But I'm still excited for Starfield. I'm not hyped. I don't have it pre-ordered. I want this on record. I don't have it pre-ordered, but I want it to be so good. I just have the hopes that it's good. Please just be really good and fun.
Also, you have an AMD card.
I do have an AMD card, yeah. so I would be able to take advantage of it, yes. So we'll see what happens, but yeah, don't know. It's also like just to like talk about this again. It's a very important launch because it's the first Bethesda game that's coming out under the umbrella of like the Microsoft acquisition. And people obviously kind of hope as well that it's like less of a Bethesda release, less buggy, less glitchy, less broken. And don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think as long as there's nothing game breaking at launch, I think they'll be fine. That would be great.
Yeah.
I think there's always a element of very unrealistic expectations from a lot of people out there when it comes to Bethesda games because they are just so incredibly large in scope and the amount of different variables and stuff. I don't think it's realistic to expect a bug-free game.
No, definitely not.
As with any game, but especially a Bethesda game that is like open world, has, you know, thousands of different components, you know, all working together. And, you know, I think as long as it's not broken, like outright broken at launch, like some games have been, one that comes to mind for me personally is Cyberpunk. I could not play that at launch and I was very disappointed. As long as it's playable, I personally won't mind if there's the odd bug. Like I would expect that going into like an open world game like this.
Definitely, yeah. Especially an open world game with like 1,000 planets and stuff like that. Like
exactly, yeah.
Oh god, there's so much about this game that just sounds so good, and if it actually all comes together and works out, it's just gonna be amazing. I just hope it is. I want it to be so badly. Oh god. Oh, but anyways, yeah. So that's the Starfield news. And then one last thing. This is like tangential to gaming in a way. Because it mostly has to do with Reddit. So for a very, very, very long time, the official Minecraft subreddit was a way for developers and players, community members to interact. It has like 7 million subscribers, and basically because of all the crap that's going on at Reddit, so you know, shutting down third-party API, lots of subreddits protesting by either like locking them or marking them as NSFW, which means you can then Reddit doesn't run ads on them, and then Reddit like firing back at that, harassing moderators and stuff like that. basically means that the developers, so Mojang, are pulling out of the Minecraft subreddit. So there is the Minecraft community is losing a very, very, very big like interaction tool because of corporate shenanigans, let's call it that way, which kind of sucks because it's always cool when you know you have a way to talk to the devs and give like feedback and share excitement and that sort of stuff. So yeah, that really sucks for the Minecraft community as a whole, I think, and like just makes Reddit just a little bit less of a place of happening. But then that's yeah, people are decrying that anyways, that with the new changes and everything, Reddit probably will be dead sooner rather than later, which really sucks. So,
it's a shame to lose like a channel for interaction with a developer like this.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, I had no clue that stuff was actually going on Reddit.
Oh yeah, very much so.
And then I'm not really on Reddit.
Yeah, it's been I'm not a Redditor, but I have heard about all the shenanigans going on, the Reddit blackout and everything like that. It's been a pretty big deal in the online space over the past few weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we'll see. Maybe Reddit will be gone as well soon. Yeah, basically what they're doing is they're kind of shutting down third-party API access. Mm-hmm. So no more non-first-party like Reddit apps, because the first-party Reddit app is terrible. So everybody uses other ones, and they're all of those will not work anymore. A lot of bots will not work anymore, and all that sort of stuff. And it's just really,
I see.
Yeah, it's just kind of ruining the entire website basically. But yeah, so that sucks. We'll see what the next big thing is. We'll see, like for interaction, we'll see.
Yeah.
So yeah, but anyways, that just about wraps up this episode of the Halcyon Frequency podcast. You've made it to the end. Thank you all so much for listening. Thank you, Kiri and Drongo, for being here with me. Drongo, where can people find you on the internet?
Thank you for having me. If people want to find me, you can find me over on Twitch as Bloody Drongo, all one word. And if you want to find me over on Twitter, you can do so under the handle @TheBloodyDrongo.
Awesome. And Kiri, where can we find you?
Thank you for hosting this FG. I'm Kiri. You can find me on Twitch and YouTube and most social media. Easiest way is 2dkiri.com, and there are all the links.
Perfect. And I have been your host for this episode, FG Squared, not just FG. I'm also everywhere on the internet. Best to find me is just also heading to fgsquared.tv, which has links to all of the important shenanigans. Also, Kiri and I will be at TwitchCon EU, where you're listening to this next week. So if you're there, we're there too. Come say hello.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And until then, don't change that dial. This is Halcyon Frequency signing off.